Really glad you stopped by. Everybody's still talking about that midair collision. What the heck happened? What could be done to avoid that next time? To that end, we have Representative Kevin Hern on. He, of course, District 1 Republican in the great state of Oklahoma. Kevin, how are you? Good to see you.
Joe, it's great to be with you today.
Yeah, we're just minding our own business. All of a sudden, breaking news comes out, about a week and a half ago, something not even that long ago. Last week, from Reagan Airport over the Potomac, you've got a midair collision, and as we're watching the information come in, the first question from a layperson like me, now you're not a layman, you're a 42-year experienced pilot, but from a layperson's perspective, I'm thinking, what is a chopper, a Black Hawk, doing anywhere near a runway, an approach for a commercial jet? Is that a valid question to have immediately or not?
Well, it's very congested airspace, and you're really limited on the east side of the river what you can do because of the White House and the Capitol and other strategic agencies there. So this is something they've been doing for years, and that route is flown by many Black Hawk helicopters and police helicopters to stay down below the flight path, and obviously something went very, very wrong.
It is Congressman Kevin Hern, again, District 1 Republican, great state of Oklahoma, chairman of the Republican Policy Committee, chairman of the Republican Study Committee, Ways and Means Committee, Health Subcommittee, Taxes Subcommittee. You're doing everything. When we're watching this unfold, immediately we as human beings want to know why. Why did this happen? So we start pointing to, was the air traffic control, was it staffed the way that it should have been? Reports say there was one person talking on both frequencies, both to the military and to the commercial jet. Normally it would be two people. That air traffic control center should probably have 30 employees. It's got 19. Are we worried about staffing on air traffic control towers right now?
Well, certainly, as a pilot that flies a lot up there, well, one of the things I noticed is when the clearance was given to the inbound American airline pilot, he was told to go across the Wilson Bridge before he started his approach.
Okay.
He did not read that back correctly, and the controller did not correct him. I've flown, I'm an IFR pilot, I fly citations, and I can tell you every single time that I've ever had that happen where I didn't read it back correctly, I was corrected by the tower. So that didn't happen, and the pilot immediately started turning toward the east, which put him kind of to the left or the east of the helicopter, which took the landing lights out of way, the helicopter to see. So he was probably looking at another plane down the way by the Wilson Bridge. And
right.
So the helicopter was clearly higher than it was reported. He wasn't at 200 feet. Obviously, the collision occurred at 300 feet. So right. The helicopter was at 300 feet.
So the pilot maybe makes one move that affected this. The helicopter pilot obviously higher than he or she should have been. But at the end of the day, again, maybe I just don't understand it. Why is there a Black Hawk helicopter doing a training exercise or a routine exercise anywhere near where a runway would be? I've also heard reports that the plane was going to go to one runway. They preferred to go to the second runway because it was closer to the terminal, and that change might have caused the helicopter to look in the wrong place and may have seen a plane, but it wasn't this plane, as you just alluded to. Is this just a perfect storm of horrible things that led to this?
It is, and the reason he changed the runway, I believe, is because it was a smaller plane. He could land on the shorter runway, and the winds favored landing on that shorter runway. There was an airplane behind him that was landing on the longer runway, a bigger airplane. And so, like you said, all these confluences came together. There will be human error in all three locations, the helicopter pilot, the airplane pilots, and also the tower. Ultimately, it will come back to the tower and not having enough people covering the radios. It's my understanding that they would go down to one controller at 9:30. They went down to one controller at 8:30, and still a lot of traffic coming in. The direct flight from Wichita, the direct flight Tulsa, a lot of different planes coming in there.
It is Representative Kevin Hern. One last question on this, as far as exactly what happened that night. The frequency thing that the military is on one, commercial is on another, one person doing both. Is that a big deal? Is that something to shout out about? Because normally it'd be one person per frequency, right?
No, not necessarily. That's not a big deal to me. That happens all the time when you're flying high. You have fighter jets; they're on UHF frequency, and you're on VHF, and you see them on your radar scope, though. And I'm sure the pilot saw them, and the helicopter pilot saw them also, but they just didn't know that each other were going to be, in the same space at the same time, which caused this catastrophic event.
It's U.S. Representative Kevin Hern. Really appreciate the time, Kevin. I've got to ask you about the DEI stuff. Not pretending to that because we don't know the DEI played any role in this one. So I'm not suggesting that it did. Even the president is saying we don't know. He's not saying that did play a role. But we know 10 years ago, 1,000 people got their certification to be air traffic controllers. And there's a lawsuit now it's like a class action lawsuit where discrimination is being alleged, that a bunch of white people were in that class And Obama and his administration said, no. The allegation from the lawyer is Obama said it's too white. Now, I don't know if that really happened, but that's the allegation in the lawsuit. Did DEI creep in without us realizing it? And did we somehow make ourselves less competent and less proficient when it comes to air traffic controlling, which is so important to us, because it made us feel better? Is that a real thing?
I think it is. Anytime you take merit out of the way of hiring people and you have to hire based on color or creed or where you came from, that's a problem in any job, and especially in a high stress environment like the DC Tower at Reagan International, or Reagan National rather. It is very difficult there. You need somebody that's very competent, very experienced. And to your point, when you go down to one, when you should have two, again, it's a recipe for disaster. And we saw it unfold just a few days ago.
We just saw in 2023 the deputy director or administrator of the FAA literally put out a video asking for more Hispanics, more people from HBSUs, the historic black colleges and universities, Native Americans. He literally left out white people. And again, it comes off as extremely discriminatory and bigoted and racist against white people. And again, he wasn't saying we want the best and brightest of anybody available. He said we want the best and brightest from these people, from these ancestral backgrounds. Is that gone, Kevin? Have we done away with that now? Can we please do away with it?
I think we have. And I think what you're seeing right now, not just in the FAA or NTSB or wherever it may be, you're seeing President Trump literally rip out the woke liberal soul of the federal bureaucracy. And that's what's happening. It's what he's going to do in all the agencies. He knows he has 4 years to do it, and he's going to do everything he can to get us back to a merit-based system where you get hired based on your qualifications, not the color of your skin or your particular handicap. As you mentioned on the FAA website, it talked about dwarfism. It talked about people missing limbs. This is no criteria for hiring people. It's really based on your ability to actually do the job.
I always go back to sports when it comes to DEI and meritocracy, because people want to argue that you have to have it to push for a certain representation in every job. And my answer is, the NBA is 75 to 80% black, and I love it. They're the best players. The NFL is 70+% black. That's okay. They're the best players. The teams want to win, and you're going to field the best team available. I think that comparison opens a lot of eyes.
It does. We should be fielding the best team possible in all of our agencies and all of the aspects of government. And, there are places that, people that have handicaps can work. I have a family, I have a sister that has a handicap, and she's working where she should be.
Yeah.
But, again, to put people in place simply because of their handicap, not because of their merit, is problematic. And we're going to see this time and time again. President Trump is going to eliminate it, and he's working from day one now. And, he's accomplished more in 15 days than Joe Biden did in almost 1,500 days.
Yeah.
He's going to continue pushing forward, as he said he was going to on the campaign trail.
District 1 Republican, great state of Oklahoma. It is Kevin Hern. Go to hern.house.gov. When it comes to the agenda, Hakeem Jeffries, who was almost the Speaker of the House, decided he would come out surrounded by people and proclaim that he's going to fight Trump's agenda in the courts, legislatively. Oh, and we're going to fight in the streets, which is, of course, ginning up some more rioting, some more mayhem, because there really is no metaphor that I can think of where you would say fight in the street that means anything other than what we saw in 2020. The question that many people have when they talk to me about this, and I certainly have the question too, can you censure the guy? Can you bring him up on charges? I mean, the guy literally is trying to start mayhem and violence in the streets, and you guys have the majority now. Had a Republican said that, and Hakeem Jeffries was the Speaker, there would be hell to pay. Can we hold his feet to the fire and say you're not allowed to do this?
Well, certainly as we go forward here, you're going to see more and more action against these kind of comments. And I think, folks like you in the media need to continue to push back. The woke media certainly won't do anything. And they went after President Trump when he did a lot less than that.
Right.
And that's what we need to be doing, because these words don't go unheard. And you think about it, he wants to fight against, President Trump securing the southern border and, preventing 300 people a day dying from fentanyl.
Right.
He said he was going to do that. He's doing it. He wants to push back on making sure the taxes stay low. He wants government to continue to be big. He wants things like the FAA to continue hiring people that are not really ready to be in that job.
Well, the Republicans kicked George Santos out, who was caucusing with them, was a Republican. And George is not a perfect guy, but he hadn't been convicted of anything. There'd been allegations, there'd been an investigation, but not convicted of anything. Why is it that we would hesitate to say, hey, Hakeem, you can't say that? You're literally telling your people who follow your side of the aisle that fighting in the streets is normal and should happen because you're unhappy about who got elected. I guess what I'm wondering is, you're right. I'm going to keep shining a light on it, and I think people like me who are in the real media, not the left legacy media, will keep on highlighting it. But isn't there something legislatively or as a body that the House can do with you guys in control to say you're not allowed to bring violence here?
Well, the speaker can censor him for his words,
Yeah,
and that's something the speaker has the control to do. You have to remember, Hakeem Jeffries is the leader of the Democrat Party, the
right.
party that got thumped in November by President Trump and his agenda, and the agenda that we're running on, that we're working hard as the Republican House and the Republican Senate to make sure we codify into law.
Right.
And so as we go forward, if that's the direction they want to continue to go, to continue talking about, because if that's the only thing they have, quite frankly, then they've got a real problem, and it looks really good for Republicans for the future.
Let's talk about tariffs. I did a video, Representative, last night about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's going nuts. It's going viral on all the platforms, just explaining what a tariff is, because Americans don't necessarily understand what they are. Not that they're dumb. They just aren't paying attention. They're busy doing other stuff. But tariffs are very basically this. It's a leverage play. Canada, Mexico, and China are being very unfair with us, and we've got a hundreds of billions of dollars deficit trading with our good friends here in North America, and one that's not much, a very good friend in China. So President Trump wisely, I think, and I want your comments on this, decided we're going to even off the playing field. Either you play fairly with us, or we're going to add a bunch of tariffs and make it hard for your companies to do business with us. We're already seeing companies saying we're going to go to the United States. 2 companies that are based in Canada, that are from Canada, are moving here. Food companies are moving to the United States to circumvent the tariffs. Immediately, Mexico says, hey, we'll put 10,000 troops on the border. The tariffs, they worked. Take them off, please. And Trump said, okay, we will. Trudeau, however, in Canada, decided he's going to tell Canadians don't visit the United States and don't buy Florida orange juice. So it's a tale of 2 countries. If you don't mind, Representative, first of all, it is a leverage play, right?
It is. You think about the leverage points that the president really has, and you need to see the real big picture here. All your listeners and your viewers, look at what leverage does he really have. He's got military action. He's got taxes. He's got, sending more foreign aid, all of which he's not going to do. The only thing left is tariffs, and we're seeing it. He announced them on Saturday, signed them, and here we are today on Monday. Mexico has already, started making actions, and he's got a call right now today with Trudeau, and somebody's leaving. That somebody's, shamefully leaving the Canadian leadership.
Right.
And that's what have to have happen. You have to have these leverage points, or otherwise you gain nothing.
How do you straddle that as a legislator? How would you suggest the president straddle that? We know that Trudeau is lame duck. He's gone. He's going to be gone in about 60 days. They'll probably put another liberal in until October, when Pierre Poilievre, a conservative, probably will win. So how do you navigate that, knowing there's going to be massive change there, and before he leaves, he's going to go scorched earth? Again, he's telling Canadians don't drink Florida orange juice. How dumb is that?
Well, we have to do what President Trump said on his campaign trail. We have to codify those policies that put him in a stronger position to negotiate. If we're not doing our job in Congress, then we're not supporting him, and it makes him have a very weak position. So we have to do our job as we go back to the House tomorrow to make sure we codify his tax code into the future, to make sure that we're securing the southern border and getting the money to Tom Homan to continue doing what he's doing and get these people out of here that are committed felons that Joe Biden hid and Obama hid in this country. Tens of millions of people that are here illegally. They broke the law. They need to go home. And President Trump is going to continue to do what he did with Colombia and others to make sure that they take back the people that they said they wouldn't take back. And we're seeing that right now, again, in the first 15 days of his presidency, do his magic. What he does, he's a master negotiator, and I think he's doing a fantastic job.
I agree with you. District 1 Republican, great state of Oklahoma. It's the incredible Kevin Hern. When we talk about tariffs and trade, why do you think Canada is so lackluster about it and Mexico is like immediately standing at attention going, I'll do what you need? And again, we want to stop the fentanyl coming in. That's what 10,000 troops on the border will do from the Mexican side to the United States side. But again, the liberals in Canada, people like Trudeau and others, they really think they have leverage. You've got this guy Ford, who is the prime minister, the premier of Ontario, saying he's going to shut off electricity to, I guess there are a few states that get electricity from him. I mean, why is it that they think that they've got some sort of means to dig in? In essence, Canada is safe because we're here. Canada will never be attacked because we're looking out for them. Why do they think they have the leverage, do you think?
Well, I don't think they have the leverage. I think they're really talking very, boastfully in the media. But when you think about what's going on around the world right now, back when you and I were kids, we had Russia we had to deal with. Now we have Russia and China. we have our European so-called allies that are buying energy from Russia and from Iran, supporting the causes that both of them that we hate and that we're pushing back on. I mean, you think about it. The Europeans are buying so much gas from Russia that they have the ability to fund the war in Ukraine for the next 7 years. And we need to make sure that our energy is, supplying our allies, not Russian.
Yes.
We need to make sure we're pushing back on the illegal activities of China, what they're doing around the world. And President Trump knows for us to be strong, that we need a strong North America. And that's what he's doing right now with these tariffs with Mexico and Canada, say we need to unite together. And the only way we're going to unite together is have free and fair trade, not these deficits and trade imbalances that we're seeing right now.
Chairman of the Republican Policy Committee is Representative Kevin Hern. Last question's got to be about the Panama Canal, maybe in a minute or so, Kevin. We know that we built it. 38,000 people died building it. It was so beneficial to the entire globe that we never should have given it up. I don't know why we gave up control. Jimmy Carter selling it to Panama for $1. And then everybody since then sat back and allowed China to come in and take over. I was stunned to find out over 70% of the signs down there at the Panama Canal are in Chinese, which blows my mind. And it seems as though with one fell swoop and some leverage, President Trump got control back to Panama and potentially back to us. Will we take control of the Panama Canal?
I believe we will. And we're already seeing the new Panamanian president from last year. He's only been in office less than a year. I was there last March, actually, on the Panama Canal. I saw exactly what you're talking about. And when you have ships sitting out there, they're having to bid to get a toll to be able to cross the Panama Canal. That's problematic for our commerce. It's problematic for our national security, just as Greenland is. I had the Denmark ambassador in my office last week, and they understand this is a national security issue. This is not about President Trump wanting to expand America's footprint. This is about President Trump wanting to secure our nation, and that's why he's had these conversations with Canada as well.
People don't understand the Greenland play. Maybe 30 seconds, Kevin, if you don't mind. Why is this so strategically important to us?
Well, just the location. This is something that's been going on since the 1800s and actually
Really?
came to full bore. Oh, yeah, since the 1800s. We've looked at this as being a strategic passageway for, allies and also adversaries from around the world. And now what we're seeing is the Chinese are over there getting, rare earth minerals. And they just kicked out the Chinese just real recently, according to the legislator from Greenland that was in my office. And we know this in post-World War II, we really started setting up strategic locations, and we're going to continue to do so to protect the North American continent. And that's what this whole thing of Greenland is all about. It's not about taking over another piece of land. It's making sure the American people are secure.
It is rare to have somebody on that I can talk to about so many different topics, the swath and the gamut of topics that you've got in your brain, Kevin. It's amazing. Thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the hard work for not only Oklahoma, but for the United States. And let's do it again soon, okay?
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for all you do, man.
Always appreciate you. We're back after this. Stay right here.